My name is Clovis Blackwell. I'm an artist. I taught at Cesar Chavez Academy in East Palo Alto. The second year I taught, we lost about 30% of our staff after school started in just the first few months. Stress, causing 20-year-old Teach for America students to get ulcers and have to drop out. And I think by the end of that second year, my body kind of started to have some reactions, and that led to me developing rheumatoid arthritis. The rheumatoid arthritis really just, ground everything to a halt. The body of work I developed was called Vincible. Vincible means capable of being overcome. So it was about sort of coming to an acceptance of the suffering that I experienced and learning to see sort of a positive change that had in my life. It certainly gave me a new perspective about my own mortality. So it was kind of about coming to terms with this body. I've always had this kind of, goofy, quirky, even silly personality, and none of that was coming through in the artwork. And so instead of working on Vincible, I decided to make work that was about being invincible. So I created Super Clovis, and I began to explore this idea of being, all powerful, and really try to parody the idea of a Superman. It was around that time when the MFA program at Azusa Pacific finally got approval from the school and got accepted into the program. That was a great opportunity for me to really explore Super Clovis. I had developed an online interactive city where I could, develop a backstory for Super Clovis and the world he lived in, and invite other friends to create their own superhero. One of the other characters in the forum decided that Super Clovis had died, so he created this really elaborate post that was a news article about the death of Super Clovis, and no one knew what happened. And so I just rolled with that. Through that experience, I used that to develop this AntiClovis persona. So now I had a good and an evil, or a yin and a yang, or a shadow and persona, if we want to talk in Jungian terms. I had these two characters, the Super Clovis and the AntiClovis. I was doing some photography and some screen printing at the time. It was all AntiClovis work. And I actually just stuck with AntiClovis for about 2 years. At a certain point, I always had in mind that I wanted to bring Super Clovis back. One of the images that got me interested in working with Super Clovis to begin with was from the Death of Superman comic. There's an image of Lois Lane holding the dead Superman. It's a pietà. It's the same image of Virgin Mary holding Christ after he's been lowered from the cross. That sort of connection between historical art and kind of comic book art was really powerful to me. It was that moment of weakness in the superhero. So I want to bring that back into my work, looking at my weakness. I had this thought to make an action figure. And at first I was thinking of doing that just to sort of make fun of how we make toys of our heroes. I started to have this vision of them battling. The conflict between Super Clovis and AntiClovis became really compelling. I was starting to read more of Jung's work, how the psyche processes things, and I was starting to read some work by Joseph Campbell about the hero. That led to me really wanting to see these action figures in this big crazy battle. I presented that idea to my mentors about having that be like part of my final MFA show. My advisors had told me that they had wanted 200 of these action figures, and so I was trying to think, how am I going to make these things? I made 4 large landscapes that they battled on. I was thinking, again in kind of Jungian terms of, how the shadow and the persona kind of are in conflict, and how, through what he called the process of individuation, it's kind of uniting these forces within oneself and coming to kind of a unity. I really kind of got interested in just, something more iconic, this image of the mushroom cloud. Awesome, powerful, beauty. The reason that I think it's appealing to me is back to that idea of new life. There's death and then new life, death and resurrection. There's that bit of hope in there. There's a chance for a new start. You know, these are all the things that I think are what compelling. Compelling to me because of, you know, the arthritis, this moment of suffering. If you want to take it to Joseph Campbell's writing, you know, he talks about the road of trials that the hero goes through in order to be transformed. So I've been thinking of these mushroom clouds as that road of trials. The progression of the disease is halted right now. I've had some permanent damage, but not anything, you know, that is a huge hindrance. I still get by, and flare-ups are under control. Life is, you know, much better than it was. I can handle a good amount of stress right now without my body, you know, kind of crapping out on me. So that's a blessing.